Behind the Front Desk is sponsored by our good friends at Phaser Marketing. To put it simply, they are a digital marketing team for excavation companies. They work hand in hand with these companies to take over their web design, graphic design, social media management, and so much more. They strive to improve the image of the dirt world and all the great hard-working people within it. If you know somebody that wants to take construction business online, have them check out our website at phasermarketing.com. That's PHASER marketing.com and take your business to the next level. Okay.
I think we're good.
I think we've started. I see a record in the left corner. We know what that meant last time. So,
but now we got two people recording this time. So
every other episode we recorded on Zoom has went great. The first interview attempt, terrible, completely.
The one time it ever happened.
The one we cared about. The rest of them was like, if an episode goes away, I really don't care. But then the one time we finally get Luke out of his schedule, get him on, gone,
please
lose everything.
You make it sound like I have things going on. I've got wide open.
Well, that's good because we need you. So, welcome back to Behind the Front Desk podcast with Ding, Z-Man, and the other guy. Today we have Luke Eggebraaten, one of my best friends, owner of Phaser Marketing, the best podcast host, and the only one of Phaser Friday. So he tries his best. How we doing today, Luke?
Doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me on the show again. I don't think you've had a recurring guest yet, so I'm honored to be on twice now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's technically second, but first time anyone will see you. But we still had a great conversation last time, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to catch some of that.
Share the conversation this time.
Yeah.
Catch some magic.
I tried to wipe my memory from the first conversation. So I did the whole Men in Black thing where you just like zap your memory. And so I feel like we're starting fresh here. So I'm excited to dive into some things.
Okay. So first I have a grievance of sorts with you, Luke.
I'm also part of this grievance.
There was a long time ago. Well, it was probably 6-7 months ago now. You said you were going to send us a box with some sort of fun challenge or something to do on the podcast. And what happened? It never came, and we've never got to do it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I totally forgot. So I will write that down. Did I ever tell you what it was going to be?
No, you said you wouldn't tell us. You wanted us to open it up on air.
Okay, good. So I'm not going to tell you, even though I want to really bad, but it's going to be hilarious. So I will send you that box, and you do have to open it. It would have been perfect to do it while I was here, but like I said, I totally forgot. So hold me to it because it's going to be your best episode yet. And it's going to be painful.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning it to us, and Zach and I think we told Ding about it and everything, or Z-Man, sorry, excuse me. But we were so excited, and every time a package showed up at the door, we're like, is it from Luke?
So I'm the worst.
Yeah, so we've been so excited, and nothing ever came of it. So
yeah, no, part of my plan was to build up some of this like excitement and really get you guys like going on it so that when it does show up, it's going to be even better. Because if I would have just done what I said I was going to do, like that's not exciting at all. So
fair enough. You've built it up enough now for us.
In the stars for ever.
7 months now.
Yeah. So
watch, you'll get it in like 2 days now.
Right.
Priority shipping.
Just next day it right to us, and we'll have to do another podcast tomorrow.
We'll do next day air, please.
God. Yeah, but we've just been so excited about that. So I'm glad we're finally going to get to see what you thought about once, and now what you're going to think about for the second time. So
yeah, no, it's great because I think my mind just goes like kind of all over the place. And especially like listening to you guys on the podcast, I'm like, man, this would be awesome to have, because you guys wouldn't know what it is. So you just open this random package and like whatever's inside, like you'd have to do, because you'd look terrible if you open it. You're like, nah, you know. So that's it's gonna be great.
At least now it'll be a little harder for you because now you have to send 3 boxes.
That's true, but it's not a big deal. So we'll make it happen.
No. Sorry, I forgot you're loaded, so it's not a big deal for you.
Right. I'm sure. I sell a lot of hats.
We're gonna have to buy a hat just to get the challenge.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea, actually. That'll pay for the shipping.
My second question today. So by now, one of us would have already read the ad read, would have already heard it, and I noticed when you sent me the new ad read, it's very much dealing with just excavation companies. Are you just strictly doing excavation companies now, or are you still doing other ones too?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So over the last couple months, and I would say probably in November of 2021, I started learning more about like, okay, how do we grow phaser marketing like bigger, and like how do we do that more efficiently? And really, what I learned is to find a niche, they call it, and it's just like to get as specific as possible within an industry, so that you can become an expert. And so at first it seems like, okay, well, it seems like I'm going backwards because I'm turning away all this other business that's coming towards me, you know, if like a coffee shop, and then a real estate agency, and then, you know, you name it, any business under the sun. I'm like, why would I turn down that business? But as I learned more about it, it was kind of just like, okay, this makes a lot more sense, because if you say, yep, I do digital marketing for excavation companies, there is no question about what we do. You know, it's like, okay, well, that's what they do. And then what that does is it helps people think like, oh yeah, my uncle owns an excavation company or a construction company. Like they obviously would be a good fit. And so it's really putting our message out there clear. But on top of that, now I'm able to attend trade shows for, you know, that are so specific to that industry. Our referrals now, you know, from Black Iron Dirt, like with Luke Payne, like it's such a tight knit community too, that like word travels fast. And it's like, if we do really good work for one industry, you know, they'll pass our name along. So it's, you know, in that ad read I sent you, you know, there has been a lot that has changed. So kind of to answer your question, it's almost like a yes and a no answer. So I say excavation companies so that it's so specific. But really, I would say we do digital marketing for the dirt world. So that could be a septic company, that could be a concrete company, you know, a site prep company, a demolition company. Different businesses like that would be a good fit, that kind of, you know, fit in our client base with who we're looking to work with.
Now, it's a really good, I think, way to try and find a niche, which helps you just kind of like, so everybody knows who you've helped out better, if instead of just being really broad, which I think makes a lot of sense. Which, I mean, that's what we kind of wanted to do in the beginning. We wanted to find something with the podcast. I mean, that's everything you read with the podcast and everything too, that you need to find like something you're super like, see that you can have a crowd that goes, hey, if you like sports cards, this is the podcast to go and listen to. I mean, that's where we don't have a niche yet. We're still at the you know, beginning stages.
We're still throwing stuff out there to find that niche.
Yeah, definitely. So, but you are starting, and you did start, and you got going, and you're figuring out, you know, mics and how to edit and how to put the podcast out there. And so there's like so much to do in the meantime that like there's no way you could find a niche before all that. So it's same thing with like Phaser, where I had to learn how to manage a team and how to do digital marketing and all of this stuff before I said, yeah, we do it for the dirt world, you know. And I think to go on that a little bit more, it's like also we can build like case studies, so we can show other dirt world companies like, hey, this is Black Iron Dirt and Demolition. They're based out of Fargo, North Dakota. We've been working with them since April of 2020. Here's the numbers. Here's the website we've done for them. Here's everything we've managed for them from then until now. Here's his cell number. If you want to give him a call, you can call Luke. Him and I are good friends. We work together on a consistent basis. You can really show them like, okay, you have case studies of clients in that industry. And that's more attractive, excuse me, I think, than having kind of sporadic work that you can show them. But it is really weird though, to turn away other business, especially when we are still very new. But I think in the long run, we'll see it help out quite a bit.
Yeah, I could see that being, I was very interested when I saw the ad read that you sent me, that I was like, oh dang, they're really just going more specific now, rather than, before it was just really focused on anybody with, just a small business. So it could have been anybody technically, this podcast could fit under that if you're technically trying to operate it as like a small business or anything.
Right.
And it still can if we wanted help with marketing and everything like that. But now it's just, now you just got to get that nice white shirt of yours dirty out in the field.
Yeah, exactly. And my white tie. And another thing too that I wanted to bring up, and I'm sure this is no surprise because you guys know me, it's like that's not all I'm going to be doing or all I'm going to be talking about. It's just like that's what our services are. But as far as like our merch and our brand and our fundraising and our stupid stuff that I post, like it's all over the place. And that's what I want. I think like 50% of our following, I'd like it to be, potential maybe clients down the road. And then the other 50% people that like support the brand, they are entertained. Maybe they want to learn about entrepreneurship or owning a business or starting a podcast. Like, I don't want to just be focused on the dirt world and only our service. I want to be like a wide range of things. So, and that's why we've got our podcast too, Phaser Friday, and we bring on other people and we talk about things, because I think having a more well-rounded business is important too, and not just doing like one thing, because that's kind of boring too. Yeah.
You don't want to ever paint yourself into a corner with exactly what you want to do right now. You want to keep building and making it a completely bigger brand. And with Phaser Friday and everything like that, what part do you enjoy doing, I guess, more? Do you enjoy the interviewing people more, or do you enjoy like the day-to-day dealing with clients and stuff like that? Which one's more fun and which one do you want to do more of?
Yeah, that I've never been asked that question, and I think that's when it's like a really good question. So I appreciate that. Honestly, like the date, like, okay, so our clients are all like awesome. I have a really good relationship with them. I've vetted them, so I've said like, okay, we want to work with you, kind of thing too. So I do like that. But to answer your question, I mean, it's definitely the podcast. It's definitely the talking to people about business and things like that. Like that's really where my passion is. It's not so much in the, like the statistics, I guess, or the analytics. Like that stuff definitely fires me up, but it's the bigger picture of like, okay, how can we take that and, apply that to your dreams of owning your business, and like, how can we be successful together and things like that. So I think that's where the podcast comes in really well, because I'm still doing my job, but I also get to let them talk more about it. And there's no strings attached either. Like they don't pay to be on the podcast, but there's only one spot every single month. So it's kind of cool to like give them the stage and hear about their story, and then also we build a web page kind of around the interview. And it's like, I just tell them before, I'm like, feel free to shout your stuff, talk about your services, talk about why you're better than other people. And like, I don't care. And especially like make it fun too. And I think that's been a really cool opportunity for myself to get to, like, I'm sure you guys see too, like podcasting is awesome. It's just, you just kind of talk about whatever comes to your mind. Like you may have a couple topics or questions that you might hit on, but ultimately it's whatever comes out. And I think it's, that's definitely one of my favorite things is the podcasting, and really just trying to pour into people and get that out of them too, and figuring out their passion.
Yeah, and like where you say, anything can kind of come out when you're on a podcast. I mean, obviously, if you've watched any of ours, it's diarrhea of the mouth half the time. Like just anything. Man. I mean, Ding went off last episode for like an hour about Chris Pratt playing Indiana Jones. So it was just
no.
Oh man.
Just saw Indiana Jones. He'd be a perfect Indiana Jones. Just watched it last night. He would be perfect.
No.
I'm definitely coming around more to it, but
I mean,
no, you're supposed to be the logical one in this kind of situation. You can't. It just doesn't work. I can't see it. There we go.
Speaking of that, did you see Jim Carrey turned 60?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, like a couple days ago or something. I saw a video of it, and Lloyd Christmas is 60 years old.
I didn't know my boy was almost 60.
Yeah,
I just watched. Don't say anything about this, but I just watched Sonic the Hedgehog for the first time, the actual movie from like a year ago, and he's in that.
Yeah.
He looked incredible. He does not look like a man that was turning 60 in less than a year.
Yeah, I mean, he must dye his hair or something.
I don't know, because there's also those photos where he looks 80, where he's got the long beard and he looks
gray.
like he's been through it. And gray. And then there's other times where, like in this movie, where man looks like he's just hitting his prime at 40 years old.
Yeah. Do you think he's a nice guy?
I think he is the nicest guy you could ever meet. I also think that he can be a real a-hole if he needs to, though.
I get those vibes, like the a-hole vibes. Like, I think if he was talking to us, he'd be awesome. But I think I definitely get those vibes of like, he's very serious about a lot of things. And some people think that he's probably funny all the time, which I doubt that that's true.
I feel, and I mean, this probably goes for a lot of famous actors and actresses that, like, in this kind of situation, they'll show their true selves where they're just nice and whatnot. Or like if you're, you meet them somewhere out and about and you just, hey, how's it going? You're talking with them. They're nice and friendly and being funny. But if like you were to rush into them and you're trying to get photos and doing all this stuff, then they're going to really kind of just be like, all right, you need to back the hell off and need to be stern with you if they need to.
Goof. Just like throwing all the Dumb and Dumber quotes at him.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd get overwhelming if we charged him and just were throwing all of our best material at him, which is all just his material. So
we just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
We think it's our first time ever being able to do it, whereas he probably gets hundreds of people doing it every single day to him.
Right.
Well, I imagine if he ever sees anybody, they yell some sort of Jim Carrey quote at him because it's your one chance, I guess. So
right. Reno, what quote would you yell at him? I mean, you have like 2 seconds.
Alrighty then.
I think I would just panic. Like I'd try to say something better, but I would just say the goodbye, my love.
Yeah. Well, you've been saying that for years. So
I know I just panic. I can't think of anything else, and then I just say that.
I mean, yours would be good though, because you love him. So as he's walking away, it'd work out pretty good.
Goof.
As you crash the limo that you were just driving him in.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
But before we get too far off of what you do and what we're kind of talking about a little bit, I mean, you talked about last time when I asked you a question of who you would want on your podcast the most, and you said Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're a little ways from having Tom Brady on the podcast, but
we'll see.
You have had the Minnesota Viking on the podcast now, so at least you're in the actual field.
Yeah, that's true.
So to speak, of Tom Brady. So
shout out to Ben Ellefson.
Yeah, I just watched that the other day. I thought you guys did a really good job with that one, and it was fun to watch. It was just kind of cool, even if you had like a past experience, with him before he's on the Vikings or anything. It's still just cool that you interviewed a professional football player and then gave away Vikings tickets. So
yeah, no, it was really cool to talk to him. And the cool thing was, I've talked to him before about this stuff, not the stuff we talked about on the podcast, but similar. We went to Disney World in January, and
Let's go.
yeah, and it was for Olivia's birthday, and so it's like the adult version of Disney World, where there's 3 versions of Disney World. There's the one where you go as a kid. That's awesome. There's the one where you go as a parent and you have kids. That I'm sure is kind of fun, but probably kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And then there's that middle one where you go as an adult, you're legal drinking age, but you don't have kids. And so it was like so much fun. We went to like Epcot, and there's all the different countries in Epcot. So there's this thing where you like have a drink around the world. So you like go to each country and you have like their signature drink.
That sounds sweet.
It was so cool. We didn't do the whole thing, obviously, because
you'd be
we would
hammered.
have been destroyed and broke.
Like me in Ireland.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Ireland would have, put me all the way in the bag. So, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. So I had the chance to talk to Ben because him and I are good friends, and so was obviously Olivia. Graduated with him, and we just talked about like finances, and we talked about like budgeting, and obviously like I was just asking all the personal questions, of like, so when you get signed, like, do you just get a check like for your signing bonus, or like how does that work? And it's just really cool to hear him like just say it like it is, because it's it's just his life. And it's also really cool too that he's not he will be one day, I know he will, but like the big star. And so it's interesting too, because you see like his contract online and you're like, oh, he's it's like a $3 million contract over 3 years or something. But in reality, that gets cut down so much when you talk about taxes and you talk about paying your agent, your trainer, there's so many little fees. And we go into that on the podcast. And so that was a really cool opportunity to really just explore some of those things with a good friend who happens to be like a little bit more athletic than I am.
I told mine, but
yeah, I told him that I taught Adam Thielen everything he knows. So he didn't, that didn't go well, but
yeah, I mean, I think all the receivers from back in the day, I think we're all kind of partly responsible for what Adam Thielen can do in the league right now. So
yeah, 100%.
He's taking notes from us. I mean, for good reason.
Yeah, Reno, you had hands in sophomore year. Well, freshman year, you definitely had hands.
Yeah, I mean, if we ever ran a pass play or anything, and we could actually get like a pass, I tried my best, but the pass plays at our high school were far and few and few in between. I was just out on the edge, just doing this all day,
blocking. Put the big man out there to block.
Yeah, I never did get the illustrious, accolades of getting to score a touchdown in any sort of middle school or high school, but I got like 3 2-point conversions. So
yeah, they don't show up on the stat sheet.
Yeah, that adds up to 6 points. That's a touchdown.
Actually, yeah, that's I'm kind of going off topic here again, but Reno, do you remember, since you're talking about scoring points, my varsity career, I didn't score a single touchdown or anything because I played mainly defense, but sophomore year, do you remember
the extra point?
Yep, they brought me in for an extra point. We didn't have a long snapper, so we didn't even know, but we got to delay a game, and so they send the sophomore team out there, and that's who we were, and we're all just like sitting on the bench, like we hardly even had pads on at that time, and we were beating a team so bad, so they're like, sophomores, get out there, kick an extra point. And so we're like trying to find our helmets and stuff. There's a delay game and like all this stuff's going on, and we finally get there, and I was kicking, and I kicked just an absolute knuckler, barely got over the crossbar, was in the newspaper, my career points 1.
Yeah,
that was the highlight of my career.
You would have swore like the sophomore team, like you would have swore we won the Super Bowl or something.
Oh yeah.
And I've never seen a squad of guys more excited for one person. Like, we're just, we all thought we scored the point because you were the one
yeah.
that finally got it. And we're all like,
It was bad. I think they took me off the kicking team after that kick just because it was that bad. But I mean, it went in. So.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it wasn't pretty, but it got the job done.
Yeah.
That was your point. That was your varsity career point. So
my 1 point. So that's what I'm talking about.
My 2-point conversions were all like in middle school. So
they still count though.
Yeah. But I remember one time, we'll just stay on our football career for just a second. I got an interception.
Got to open the yearbook.
Yeah. I got an interception once in a game. And I think back to it all the time for some reason, because I remember I was running so weird. Like I felt like my knees were like hitting my chin every time I took a step. I don't know why I was running so high-kneed, but I was like as straight as you could running with the interception. And I remember Michael Herzog, Buzzy, was like super pumped about it. And he was trying to run and he was going to try to block me, but he accidentally hit me as he was running by. He just leveled me. He just
drops the ball.
He was going to try to block me, knocked me to the ground, like, and then he just like picked me up and carried me to the sideline. But that was I think back to it all the time because I feel embarrassed over it because I could barely run, I felt like, and then my own teammate just runs me over and I'm just flattened on the field. So not very many good highlights in my football career.
Hey, that's all right. A lot of good memories to talk about though.
Yeah, there's some pictures that Tim Eggebraaten took of us on the field still floating on Facebook. So
oh man.
But we'll maybe get back on to what you do if you would like another question.
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry, you talked about football. I was like, my mind just got scattered there.
Yeah, no problem. We barely ever stay on track on the show, so
that's true.
I mean,
we're keeping it at par right now.
This is as good as we've ever done. So
there you go.
But so last time again on our unrecorded session, you talked about starting a CEO day and on Thursdays, and I saw that you have been doing that every Thursday. And so I just want to know, how do you feel like that's been really productive to your company, or is it not as productive as you were hoping it was going to be? Just kind of how is it going?
Yeah, it's a great idea. And to preface it a little bit, so I've been doing this CEO day, I call it. Basically every Thursday, I kind of try to eliminate all distractions. I block off my calendar from meetings and things like that. And I try to stay away from all internal stuff with our team, just so that I can work on the business and not in the business. So I started that maybe a month or two ago, and it's definitely a good idea, but I need to stay focused on it too, because if I have a good plan going in, it's great. It's probably the best thing for me. But I think I had an example last week where I didn't have a to-do list even. So that is where I messed up. First off, is I didn't have a list of things to do. And you kind of just saw the day wear away. I did do a good job of like eliminating distractions of like doing laundry and doing things like that. But the things I was working on like weren't as productive as I wanted to be. So if anyone wants to try it, the number one thing I recommend is to make a list the night before. So that way you wake up and you're like ready to go. You have your coffee and then you dive into it and you start crossing things off. So it's been really good, except for last week. I just kind of got off track. But I love the idea. I think it's very healthy for my business because I can zoom out a little bit and see like, okay, who can I reach out to even? I've been doing that a lot too, of like reaching out to people, jumping on the phone, more so for like the business development stuff of like, not so much sales, but just checking in on their business and just seeing how things are going. So I would say it clears up a lot of fog with the everyday internal stuff, but it's been going well, but I think it can be a lot better too.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much potential to any day, if you have a to-do list, of whatever you're trying to get done. There's so much potential in having that ready to rock and just diving headlong into a day. If you already have it structured out for how you're going to go, what you want to get done, you can get so much more done a day as if you just kind of wake up and you're like, I'm going to get some stuff done today, but you don't actually have any like a list going on, which has been me the last couple of days. I'm like, I'm going to get some, shit done. Like I'm going to do all the stuff, and haven't wrote a thing down, haven't got a damn thing done. So is where I've been at lately. Like I've just done a couple little things, and then I'm like, that's pretty good for the day. I'm think.
Good. Yeah.
And then, so that's where I've been at. And it's just been, so, I want to get a little better at writing down lists and, kind of doing those things. It's not going to be a CEO day or anything, because we're not at a level of where we need anything like that. But, just hearing that you struggle with, getting stuff done if you don't have a list is, very relatable to probably a lot of people, because it is to me. And I don't know.
Definitely.
I don't know if Zing, I'm going to say Z-Man and Ding have a problem with getting stuff done. But
no, I mean,
is
go ahead, Luke.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
sorry,
do you guys make a list at all, or do anything like that, like of chores or even business things like to do?
I tell myself I'm gonna, and then I never do, like for school and whatnot with some of these big projects that I have now. I mean, example would be this. I mean, this weekend really was kind of, I just started class my last semester here last Monday, and we had something that was due today and this whole weekend. I just had to really kind of grind on it and had this kind of plan to do it. And I may have gotten it done for due today, but if I really just sat down and just kind of grinded out like I thought I was gonna, I would have been done probably Friday night, Saturday morning, and would have had the rest of the weekend instead of working on it until about 1 a.m. last night, where I mean, I finished, but I didn't really know if I finished or not. I did as much as I thought I could and was like, you know what, we'll go from here tomorrow. And it ended up being enough, plenty of stuff that I needed. But when I think about it, I didn't really know if I was missing anything else. There was no checklist of what I really needed that I had figured out. And so, I mean, I definitely always tell myself I'm gonna, but half the time I don't. And I just really got to get on the top of myself and make sure I do that.
Yeah. Doing it the night before and doing a short list, I've known or I've figured out has like really helped me, because if I see like a list of 50 things, like there's no way I want to even look at that in the morning. But if there's like 5 or 7 things and you need to do more anyway, but there's something about like just crossing things off the list and like feeling those small, I guess the small wins. And I'll even put simple things on there and things that probably don't qualify as a to do, but it just really helps to like, cross the next thing off. Like, okay, let's do this. Let's just get this done quick before I get sidetracked.
And I'm kind of like I like how you said you do kind of like just a short list, where I'm almost kind of the opposite, where I will make those longer lists either on paper in my head, but it's almost like it's just one or two words. It's super simplified. So even though it's long, it still doesn't even feel long, because it's just really simplified. And because I don't know, in my head, it helps me think like, oh, this is not a big thing. It's 1 or 2 words. It's simple.
Yeah.
Even if it's not.
Yeah. That's a really good way to do it too, because it's really just, it's that intimidation factor, I would say, where if you like are dreading even looking at the list, then you got to shorten it. But if you're like, oh yeah, that's easy. You can get a lot done.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I normally don't write anything down until I get like fed up. I'm like, I need to do these effing dishes. I need to do my laundry. Then I'll make like a list, and then it is a lot easier to do everything once you have that list, because it's just like done. It's like have to do this and this to accomplish that. It becomes a lot easier, but for the most part, I tend not to make lists unless it comes to like financial things. Then I make a list. So,
Ding, are you a spreadsheet guy, like for finances?
I wouldn't say so, but I mean, I'm the type of person that like, I know a lot of people tend to not like balance their checkbook and stuff. Like they'll just do a kind of a quick like, oh, I look at it. I'm the type of person to like balance my checkbook and like long write it out and
Yeah.
look at it and be like, try to backtrack and find out like, how did I spend $400 on a Tuesday in May? You know, what
Right.
happened here? And then I'll like start thinking about it, and then I'll like try to look for receipts. I'll be like, oh, I know what I was doing this day. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I try not to be so like write every little detail down unless it's financials. Again,
Yeah.
I just don't want my money to go missing. So
Yeah. No, it's a great habit to be in.
Yeah, I could write down. I should write down finances a little more because
well,
they tend to go a little haywire sometimes.
Yeah.
like for me, like just 2 weeks ago, so when I was like during quarantine, I like wrote down, I'm like, this is what I, like here's what I still owe on my car loan, here's what I owe on school loans, here's what I owe, like here's what I'm giving to the stockbroker, like here's what my 401k is at. And I like wrote it down. It's like, what do I want to accomplish within the next like year? And it's like, I want to pay off my car within the next year. I want to pay off 90% of my school loans in the next year. It's like I want to add, you know, a certain amount of money to my 401k and my stockbroker. So like I wrote that down. I was able to do like 3 of the things, and it's like it makes it a lot easier than not writing it down and just hoping I can accomplish it.
Right. And if you have a clear goal like that, and you also have to find your why, because if you have that clear goal and there's like, yeah, I just want to pay off my debt just because, like, you're not going to be as motivated. But, when you find your why of like, okay, this is why I want to pay off my debt, this is why I want my 401k to be stocked up, then it's like way more motivating to be like, yeah, let's do this thing. So yeah, it's really cool to see like those two pieces come together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean it's easier to put it as a goal of like finishing something off too. If you're gonna like, I want to pay my car off within the next year, as where if you just say I want to get closer to paying my car off in the next year,
like, what is
then
that?
You could just any amount of money you put at it, then it's like,
it helps
I've done that, so
$10.
yeah, right. It's just like if you want to build up like a good savings account or something, you just say I just want to increase my money in my savings account this year. You like pick an actual number you want to bring it up by.
Right. It's like how much and why, and that is really a big motivator of just like getting shit done and just like having something behind it.
Yeah, more passion towards it instead of just kind of winging it.
Right.
And with writing stuff down too, it's definitely harder to not do something if it's on a list, because you look at the list and you look at it and you're like, oh crap, I haven't got that done. Then you just feel terrible, like you're like, oh my gosh, like then you can't focus until you get that thing done, because you're like, the more time that goes away from it, like whether it's just like call somebody or whatever, then obviously now it gets built up so much that this call is going to be life ending or like anything. That's always been my biggest trouble, is like cold calling people for like something I need. It's impossible for me to do.
Right.
And I think writing it down too almost helps imprint it. Like even if you do maybe forget that it's written down, it's still somehow it's imprinted that you wrote something down. What was it? It's just even if you don't ever look at that list again, it's just that memory of writing it down. It just helps a little bit more. At least for me, that's been one big thing for me too. Is I mean, you can ask these two. Me remembering, I'm bad at it. I don't remember anything, but even just like writing stuff down, just it doesn't make a huge difference here, okay, but it does help a little bit.
Right.
That even though I don't have that list with me or that thing written down, it's like, shit, I wrote something down earlier. What was it now? And it just kind of helps.
Right.
Very much. And I mean, that's why I started journaling too, in a sense of I journal just so I can forget things too. Like if I have thoughts throughout the day that I'm like, okay, these need to be said to somebody, but I don't necessarily ready to say them to anybody yet or anything.
Right.
You pump them into a journal, and then I can kind of like, it feels like I told somebody, it's on paper, I can kind of like help you work through things if you can just kind of, otherwise if something's in your head and it just keeps replaying all day, it's like, I got to put that down on paper so I can see it And I can be like, oh, it's 4 words, like whatever it is that's bugging me or anything. It's like, that's all it is. Like, you can forget about it now, which that's always helped me too. So just, I think writing stuff down in general is just such a big thing, because our brain is not as well oiled as we like to think it is. It needs a lot more help. Than it can't file everything away. It can't make great decisions all the time. Like it needs a lot of help. And like with coffee, obviously, like coffee is a big thing for like me. Then I started drinking too much coffee, because I'm like, geez, a couple cups of coffee, I'm feeling incredible. If I bump that up a little bit, I probably feel amazing. And then now that I started drinking too much coffee, so now I've cut it out for like the last 5 days, which gets its own
withdrawals,
increased irritability, stuff like that. So yeah, we basically get withdrawals from it. So that's been kind of fun. Now I'm good. So now I'm gonna slowly start easing back into drinking coffee again, and hopefully now I won't think 4 cups is a good idea, because once I go past 2, I get just incredibly anxious. I don't know, Luke, if you ever get like anxious from drinking coffee or anything, or
my max is 2.5. Sometimes I'll have 2 cups. Like today I had 2 cups and I'm fine, but anything over 2.5. So when I have that 3rd cup, I get pretty irritable and like twitchy almost, and it's like, I don't feel good. Yeah. And then the digestive too is all franked up. Yeah, I can derail a morning. Yeah, that's for sure. But with the irritability from coffee, it's just, I don't know what it is from it, that it's just, it goes from like, it makes you super productive for like the first cup, and then the second cup, but for me it even starts to get like, it blows past like being productive anymore, and then it's like, it's increased irritability, so then I'm not getting anything done, because then things are, I'm trying to do some dishes or something, I drop like a fork or something, and the sound of the fork hitting the sink, I'm like, I just want to throw something. Then it's super weird. I don't understand like why it does that, but I mean, I'm not going to find the answer with this group of gentlemen. I'll tell you that much. I was going to say, I don't know if you're asking us or sweating a little bit. No, just more ranting about something, and just because I'm no scientist. Well, maybe we'll have one on eventually that'll straighten us all out with what we can learn.
Probably not much.
I'm out of questions. If we want to keep spitballing with some old memories or anything, those are kind of the big questions I wanted to get. Well, I'm gonna throw it back to you guys. So I just wanted to make sure that you were good too. So couple things I have is for one, how's the podcast going? Obviously you guys are separated. That's different. But you guys have been doing some episodes since you have been separated. So how is it different from being together to being separate?
I mean, it's different. I don't know what he's pointing at here.
I was trying to point at these two.
I know on my screen you're pointing at Luke and you're pointing down to the bottom of the computer.
Oh, it's funny. From where I'm at, this is where you guys are at. So just imagine I'm pointing at you. Then go.
I mean, how what I would say is when we were together, we were a little more slower on starting, because obviously we're all together, so we kind of would hang out a little bit longer. I also feel the episodes would run a little bit longer because we were just hanging out with some episodes. Right. Where now I feel like we're a little more like, oh, it's 7, let's get on. We're starting a little bit sooner, wrapping up. I feel like our episodes are a little more concise and not long-winded. Last week it did drag on. It's bound to happen every now and then, but I don't know. That's the big thing I see, is it just feels like we're a little more efficient now, and it could just be that we're 7.5, 8 months in of doing them. So,
well, and I mean, I think I don't know, because like last time we had you on, this was kind of a question that you had asked us to as well, and I mean, we kind of our response was, knowing that we started out trying to do 2 a week, and we burnt ourselves out so quickly. And it's like mentioned last time that with the Zoom, that we kind of started doing just 1 a week, and we're still doing it. And I mean, I don't know about these guys, but it's obviously we have had them come out every single Wednesday for the past how many weeks now. I mean, obviously doing 1 a week is helping. Obviously, even, yes, it's different that we are no longer together. However, I mean, it seems like doing Zoom, it's a lot easier to edit. In the future, that can obviously change. But as of right now, it's helpful just to, even though it doesn't look the greatest, maybe than us being all together. But this is allowing us to record and get content out by the next day within 24 hours. And then on Wednesday, boom, the new episode is out, posts are made. We're good to go there. And then also just, like Ding said, we're 7 o'clock. We're going. There's no one of us is kind of late, or 7 o'clock we're all together, but we don't start recording until 8:30 because we're kind of maybe sitting in the kitchen or sitting in the garage at the time talking and just kind of BSing whatnot before we actually record. 7 o'clock we kind of get on. We might talk for a few minutes, but we hit it pretty hard. We're on top of each other more, it seems like, without having to actually be on top of each other about stuff.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No. we're treating it. It seems like we're treating it. Yes, it's still just a thing of having. Yeah. Okay. Come on now.
I'm sorry.
It seems it seems like, yes, even though we want to do this because it's fun and we love doing it, but it is also seeming like that we're actually starting to treat it like it's also a business at the same time.
Yeah. Sorry.
Holy Lord.
I did want to jump into, like, when you talked about Zoom and just the simplicity with it. So I was talking to somebody yesterday, and just they wanted to start a podcast, and I was like, honestly, just do Zoom, because it has everything you need, really. And like, you can get better as you go, but I'm like, Zoom has everything you need, and you can improve the camera or the microphone or whatever, but Zoom will record it. It'll have you in a space, and then really you can have any sort of guest on, or you guys can be all over the country and still be on your Wednesday meeting, because I'm sure you guys ran into that where you couldn't meet in person because something was going on or something like that, where Zoom, it's like, it's on your calendar, 7 o'clock. It's like hard to schedule something within that. So I think it's sometimes like the best changes, like, you don't realize, but you're kind of forced into. And obviously, like Reno moving, you never know. I mean, this could be like the future of it, and it could help a lot. So
we could be the pioneers for doing Zoom podcasts.
Truck, yeah, brother.
Well, I think Luke technically started doing it before us, even in our small group. So
when did you
don't recognize it?
I started in February.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't start doing Zoom basically till November, so you got us by
Zoom there. Yeah, I guess that's right, but I've never done an in-person one.
I love doing them in person so much more, because it's like, I can actually like reach out and touch somebody, and like you can actually like just, you're in the same room. There's a different, obviously Z-Man and I are both making sexual references, and we're not trying to.
I didn't say anything on that one. No,
you were thinking it though.
Z-Man, yours was too easy to like.
Well, the thing about mine too is, as soon as I said it, as usual, I caught it, and then I kept going, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm about to say it again. Oh shit, I just said it again. Oh my god, why don't we triple down on it and say it for a third time? That'll make it good.
Normally I'm not like that, but I just like I had to throw something in.
Well, if you guys weren't laughing, I would have called myself out on it real quick.
But back to what I was trying to say. I'm not even sure what I was trying to say anymore.
Should have written it down.
But like, I should have freaking written it down. But like, when Ding would show up to the house at 45:30 in Moorhead, and we'd be like, we just kind of start hanging out, and then all of a sudden we just start talking, and then like, it seems like a lot of work to just like, we gotta start the, we were using GarageBand at the time, so we'd have to start that, then start the camera, then like sync it up before we could have a conversation. So there was so much that was just kind of like disconnecting everything. As we're now, it's like you just get on and we just click record and we just start hanging out.
Well, and then every
Yeah.
20 minutes or so, you're having to restart the camera. So now we're having to do that 5 or 6 times, and then we're done. We get stuff good to go, and then now we actually have to we have to put this on my computer now, and now I have to then sync up the already attempted sync up of the audio and video, but now I have to resync it up to another thing on my computer, and then start cutting out and adding stuff, and it's just like, this is painful. I don't like this. I just want to talk.
I hate to switch gears because this is great, but I heard that I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but I heard there's potentially some headwear coming in from the podcast. Some
I
potential.
I couldn't not say anything, I got too excited.
Can I see it?
Okay, yeah. Soon there's going to be some nice custom BFD podcast hats that are going to be rolling out within the next month. So we'll make a bigger post about it when everything's final and set, and I'm hoping Luke is going to purchase one.
Oh yeah, I'll take 10. And if I wasn't supposed to say anything, we can just cut this out. So.
Oh no, we're going to talk about it anyways.
Okay.
But
okay, good. It'll be a teaser for the hats.
Yeah.
This will be the first announcement. Then we'll order and be like, guys, it's coming out here next week. We'll make a thing about that. Yeah. And then we'll have them. We'll showcase them. Maybe make a little video about them.
Are you doing what style of hat?
Not like mine.
I'm doing
like this.
Not exact, like a snapback.
Yeah, like like Richardson or something like that, where it's just like the classic snapback. Yeah, where
it's just a nice, easy design and comfortable hat, and makes it easy for customizing everything too. So
yeah, and honestly, with not dealing with sizes is big too. We do t-shirts and like sweatshirts and stuff, and I love it, but it's like, how do you even figure out how many of each size to order? And then you run out of one size and you have a bunch of double XLs or something. It's just like hats is super easy, especially when they're adjustable.
Yeah, if you can just have stuff that people can adjust to fit their own heads. Because I know just out of our friend group, I mean, Micah has the biggest heads ever, and nothing can fit his head. So yeah,
massive. I have a huge head, and his head's bigger than mine.
Yeah, so I mean, that's already a problem we're gonna run into, because we're gonna force him to buy one. So
right. So shout out to Micah. You can tell him that he's on the podcast.
Or he gets brought up about every episode. Him and Matt, also known as Dad.
Big head.
They get brought up every time. So
good.
Dad does
good
have
deal.
a big head. Sorry, we got off track again.
Well, I'll just keep us on that track. So I was telling the boys here, Reno, while you were off, I'm coming out with a new design, and I haven't come out with them yet. I'm just talked to the guy today, but I wanted to show you what my idea was. So I don't know if you've noticed on the sidelines, like the coaches of the NFL wearing those new, like all black hats, everything's black, but then there's like a border of their color. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
Let's host disabled participant screen sharing. So
let me see if I can quickly. Let's see if I can.
So the idea is, as Reno's doing that, is it's super cool because within it, all the black, everything's black, but the shape of the emblem or the name is like raised black, so you can still see it. But then the border of it is like the color. So I think we're going to do like a gold border and then have like our either phaser or phaser marketing on the inside. And I'm pretty stoked, but
wish I could see it.
I cannot figure out how to allow you to share the screen, but
so
just text me like a picture of it and I'll put it in the place.
Oh, there you go. We'll have Jamie insert the picture here. So
yeah, he'll pop it up right like 2 minutes ago now.
But I'm super stoked for that. So just had to fill you guys in on that. Are you guys gonna come out with any like undies or anything like custom?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean,
Could use-
that's more just going to be probably exclusive to maybe people who want them, and we're probably not going to stock up on 100 pairs of underwear or anything. But
have like a used and a new section.
yeah, I mean, it might be like the dartboard for you, and it might be like a request only. Like,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah, there you go.
like if you
Those-
want one, we can get you some big frickin' deal underwear. But
some whitey tighties
yeah,
with your pod on there. Oh man. That
Yeah,
is
I mean, we've
great.
talked about,
lots of
my God,
stupid
it would,
merch, but
having BFD on under would be incredible.
I know.
Would you have it? Would you have it on the front
BFD.
or the back?
Both.
Or
Big
like-
friggin' deal or dongers, and on
No,
the
I
back
would
could be
do
big
B-
friggin' dumper
BFD on back and then
right across the back. Oh my God, there goes
the hat
mic.
design on the front.
Oh man. I suppose
Big
it could
frickin'
stand for two
dumper.
different things. So
BFD.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. It's multi-use.
it's
It
pretty
can stand for a
universal,
lot of things.
actually.
It is.
I just sent you the link, and I mean, you could just use probably one of the pictures off of there, but it's pretty
Sounds
awesome.
good.
So we'll see how it turns out. It could look terrible.
What if I steal the design and then force you to buy it back from me?
I would probably do that. I'll take that
Okay.
deal.
We'll write up the paperwork later.
Sweet.
No,
So
but we'll go right in.
okay, I was gonna dive into my second question.
No, I love it. Let's go.
Okay, so we already talked about the surprise that's coming, but I had to build up the anticipation. Aside from
Sure you did.
that, so that's the surprise. Aside from that, do you guys talk about like content ideas before the podcast, or like different things to do on the podcast? I guess because the reason I ask is because that is where my head went. I'm like, oh, this would be fun to do on the podcast. It's like something different too. Do you guys ever, I guess maybe brainstorm those ideas, or how does that work? How do you schedule out what you talk about?
We have in the past, kind of. I mean, we have, either before we've recorded or after, or just like maybe we've gotten together just to like, there's been a few times where we've just said we're going to get together instead of recording. We're just going to work on the videos, where we've kind of done that a little bit, but I mean, it's hard to say that we've followed through on a lot of it. I mean, obviously we've done a few things like the movie theme one that we did about Martin Scorsese.
Right.
It's Always Sunny episode that we done. Best video we did. So we have done a few. We've done a few things, but there's definitely a lot of stuff where we had kind of written down different like segments or different things we could do. It's just a matter of we haven't really kind of like done those.
I gotcha.
I don't know if these two have more in depth of kind of what I'm talking about, but
Yeah, I mean, you basically said exactly, because I mean, after like episodes and stuff, we'll kind of like talk and see like, do we feel like that was a good episode? What should we kind of, maybe focus on next time? And, we don't always do a great job of following up on and what we talk about. And that's kind of what C-Man was saying. So I think we do need to get better at that. We have talked about, certain, if we want to do like streaming video games and stuff like that as a crew, and like kind of explore different ways, maybe different channels that way. But again, like, I don't know, it's still like we are still just trying to, and that might be something when, if we get an editor and stuff in here that can kind of just focus on doing this, so we don't have to be kind of like you've said many times, like working so much in your business, and we can kind of start working more on it instead. Right now we're just so stuck in it that it's tough to branch out, because we're not as good as we feel like we can be at what we're doing right now. So it's kind of tough to want to branch out right now.
Right. That's a great point. So I want to ask a question on that. Have you guys talked about or considered hiring like a freelancer to help edit the podcast? I mean, because I was in the same boat but I didn't even like start to even try to edit it myself. I just brought in one of our freelancers. I'm like, Brandon, can you help me just edit the video, produce it, like do everything? And through that, like we've learned a lot as we go. But have you guys ever thought about, bringing on a freelancer or something like that, or somebody else to help edit?
Yeah, so I've talked to my brother about doing it because he's expressed a lot of like excitement towards kind of being a part of it and kind of editing the videos and stuff. And so we've talked to him about it, and that would be kind of like, they're not gonna be much pay coming on right away. It's more like an
Right.
opportunity because he
Right.
wants to edit stuff, so it'd be an opportunity for him to help us out and help himself out. So that's kind of where we're at, and still in talks with him, just kind of maybe when we can get that started, kind of how we want to go about it, kind of because we need to set up some meetings so all of us can kind of talk and
Right.
get kind of what we want the show to turn into. Because right now it's all just we're just kind of content based. Like we're not worrying too much about what it really looks like, anything right now. It's just kind of getting our voice out there and just having some fun with it. And then in the future we're going to really ratchet up the intensity on it and kind of like smooth out the edges, make it look a lot better, make it a lot more appealing for people to watch, and a little bit more fun.
Well, and look at the things you guys have accomplished through what you have done so far. Like, I just think back to what we've learned too. I mean, you just learn like how to post on YouTube, when to post, like what to write in the description, how to even edit, like when to shoot as far as like a schedule goes. And like all that stuff, in my opinion, is the hardest to do. And finding somebody that can edit or making, cleaning up the edges and making it look better, like that stuff, like you said, you can do in the future. But the main thing is like the core content of like, are you guys meeting? Are you guys talking? Are we talking about different topics? Like, and you guys are checking all those boxes. And it's like the other pieces just come in as you go. So you guys have the most important piece going already. And then adding in the other pieces is just like, it's pretty easy to do. And I mean, how many subscribers are we at now?
24.
24. I think
I'm
I've
looking
got,
at it right now.
So we've gone up.
I don't want to brag, but I think we shot up to 16. So I think the last time we talked, I was at 13, but got a couple good ones. So
yeah, I think we got 24 subscribers and 24 videos put out. So we're at 1 subscriber per video.
I will take those numbers.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Our views are, they're hanging in there. They were a little bit more higher in the beginning.
Got 17 subscribers.
Oh my! Just went up.
Yeah, must have just got a new one. So
I mean, I just subscribed to you like this past week. So because all of a sudden I went.
That's probably you.
I went on the Phaser and I was watching I never watched the one with you and Olivia, where she interviews you kind of. So I watched. That one was like, and well, as I was watching it too, I didn't know that Grace wrote you a question.
Oh yeah, we had lots of questions, and
hers.
I was
like I was just like sitting there watching it and stuff, and Olivia was like, "Question from Grace, like, what should you do when like moving across the country?" And I was just like, nobody told me your question was on here. I could. Well,
we just assumed you would have watched it.
That was the one I missed.
It was a test. I'm like, Reno never asked me about that.
Yeah, and then I showed it to Grace too, and I was like, "Did you ask Luke a question?" And she's like, "I think so." And I was like, "Well, here's the answer that you never."
Here's the answer.
Here's the answer that we desperately needed 2 months ago.
I don't even remember what I said. Was it good?
I mean, it was you told your advice for moving across the country was to like, lock into like the community and like, right. your ideas were to like join a intramural league or a beer league, as you called it, and stuff like that, which still looking for an option like that. Haven't found one yet, but
flag football.
I would love to do something. Intramural basketball is all I've been wanting to do ever since we hung up our shoes a few years ago now. 10 probably. I don't even know.
Yeah, a few years ago. I mean, it's crazy how long it's been. But yeah, we put in 4 good seasons, I'm pretty sure, didn't we?
I think so. Did we have a name for our team, or was it just
What Do Ba Do?
Was it just What Do Ba Do? It was that. I think that was.
I'm assuming so. Yeah.
A lot of highlights from those days.
A lot of good memes. But So I got one more question. Keep the train moving here. You know, we kind of talked a little bit about the changes through, you know, you guys moving, being virtual and everything. Do you guys have any aspirations as like doing, I mean, I'm trying to go out like way out too. Would you ever be interested in doing podcasting full time? I mean, like for one, how cool would that be? But two, is that a legitimate thing that you guys think about?
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yes. Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
Like,
Just
I mean,
absolutely
that's
constantly.
because I mean, the whole reason why, you know, when we used to talk about starting a podcast back when we all worked together and stuff was, you know, we all talked about Joe Rogan, and because he does it every single day and, you know, for like 3 hours at a time, or like, you know, how freaking cool would that be? So, I mean, that's kind of like our, you know, our North Star of who we kind of started with in mind was like Joe Rogan's kind of style. And I mean, we've done our best to, you know, do that. And, you know, we really, I mean, I would love personally to do it full time. That would be incredible.
That'd be cool.
So
I'm going to jump into the next question based off of that. How do you guys see, like I said, you know, this is kind of a little ways out as well, but how do you monetize a podcast? Meaning like, how do you start to make money and what does that look like?
That's a fantastic question.
Thanks.
Z-Man,
Go ahead,
you got
Reno.
something? I gotta think a little longer.
I think
I'm really
I
asking
mean,
for
obviously-
myself
I mean-
too, because
I mean-
I would love to be doing it full time.
Right.
I mean, really, you know, in order to really get our name out there, get the podcast out there, make one of the best ones there are to compete on the levels of like the Joe Rogan Experience, Armchair Experts. I mean, it's the same thing with just normal TV, stream services, streamers, whatnot. You have to be able to create and offer good content. So it's a matter of where do we do that? You know, if it's just as simple as literally just constantly listening and watching different podcasts and whatnot and figure out what are they doing to target? What is creating their content to become so big? It's just simply just trying to figure out that solution of what would make us as big as possible, what would bring in people to want to tune into us besides just being three handsome looking gentlemen. What's
Beautiful, handsome looking gentlemen.
What is it that is so popular right now that just generates views and just has such an unlimited potential of good content that you can just sustain for a while before having to move on to something else, kind of thing?
Yeah, and I mean, it's really just trying to build up, you know, an audience that values what we kind of say and likes what we do, and that tunes in every week so that you can get to a point where you have actual sponsors that pay you just to read their ad read. Because like right now we are, you know, reading one for you, and it's just beneficial for both sides because it helps us just kind of look more like a, you know, makes us feel more like an actual podcast, and it helps, you know, get your name out there as well. And you know, it's just getting to a point to where you can have, you know, 3-4 sponsors an episode that are kind of big sponsors that are actually paying you, which is creating revenue for you. And then obviously, you know, you can go with merch and stuff. I think it's a little bit harder to make a lot of, you know, money off merch because you really have to like get an audience locked in to you as a person, and they have to imagine when they're buying the shirt, they're like having a piece of like the show, and they're feeling like they are, like when they wear it, they think about the podcast, or, you know, they feel like they're part of us. And it's tough to get to a point like that because you really have to be honest, vulnerable. Like you have to just kind of come on here and let it all go, and then hopefully people will follow. So I mean, it'd be lovely to get this to something where we can make money and we can do this full time so that we can really, you know, dedicate our lives to kind of just making a difference on the podcast and stuff. And hopefully we'll start to grow that brand and we'll get there.
Yeah, I think that's it's really cool too. And I'm glad you brought it up of, growing your current audience and really like appreciating like who does tune in every week and, kind of going above and beyond for those people, because those are your most important people, are the people that are like tuning in every single week. And, if you can kind of build within and then go out from there, that's like the best way you can do it. Another thing, I have like two things I thought of when I was hearing you guys talk, but incorporating them into the podcast, there's two ways I can think of that. One is having questions, like if somebody like listens. So for example, like myself, have something where you reach out to me and to a few other people and say, we would like to have you, do you have any questions for us that we can go through on the show? And then that way, like for one, I would be honored to send you something like that. But then two, I'm most likely going to tune in, of course. And then the second thing I thought of was having more guests on the show as well. That's definitely like different, and you don't always have to do that. But I think like having some of that is cool, because then you get like their exposure and then you get their opinions and their different ideas, and it can really shake things up too. But I say that, because you guys also have something very special between you three. So you don't always have to have a guest on every single time, but something to like maybe sprinkle in to appeal to your current audience as well, that they may know. So, but yeah, I think it's all about like going above and beyond for the people that are supporting you and are, buying a hat or something like that. And because they're the ones that are going to help you grow, not so much the random person that hasn't listened yet,
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's exciting to think like, man, what if one day we're all just like doing podcasting full time?
I mean, that's the goal.
That'd be cool.
Right. We could just, go on each other's all the time and just bullshit all day.
And I don't know, like, because I'm still kind of going through like Two Bears One Cave, Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, and it's fun to listen to them sometimes where they're like, where there was one episode in particular where Bert talks about how like it's 10 a.m. and they're doing theirs, where it's like he's like, all right, yeah, this is my third podcast today, and I got one more after this, where he's got his podcast and he goes and does theirs, and then he's got a buddy of his who has his podcast. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna go to his and hop on his. Now I'm gonna go do this. It's like their day is just doing their podcast and going to their buddy's podcast, and it's just like, holy God, it sounds incredible.
Right.
Like you don't have meetings where you're working 9 to 5 and doing this stuff. It's like, no, I'm just gonna go do like 5 podcasts today.
Just gonna talk about what I want to talk about.
Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, I think like the podcasts, like what's just so great about it is that, there's not really another opportunity for something like this to happen.
Right.
Like this group of 4 guys sitting on a call just talking about business and stuff. You have to like create an opportunity for this, because it doesn't, you can't just randomly like cold call all 3 of you guys one day and be like, hey, let's talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours about, let me ask you some questions and see what we got rolling. Like it's an opportunity to like catch up every week. And I mean, that was another big thing with why we started it, is because we want to like continue to work together. And this is like a way that we won't ever get like separated. Like we can't fall, get distance between us, because we talk every week. So it's just like making sure we stay together and, keep growing together. And
yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely a relational side of it, podcasting too. And like, especially what you guys are doing it's just fun to talk to people. It's great to get to see each other like every single week and like get to see what's going on in your lives, but then also just figure out new things, like figure out each other's passions. And like with, me being on the show too, like I get to hang out with you guys and like talk to you guys and answer questions and also ask questions, because, we think we know each other so well, but there's really so much still to learn and to just explore. So it's really cool too. I think it fills that void as well of like hanging out with people and being social is this form of podcasting, which is crazy that this can be a business. It's just so cool to think about.
I mean, yeah, that's obviously why I want to get there, because if we'd be making money right now basically off of this, that would be that's that's the goal, to be able to just, because then the conversation gets even better,
Right.
Then we know money's coming
money.
in.
Yeah, right. It's got to land the big sponsor. It'll be like Pfizer marketing or something.
Yeah. We'll see.
They got bigger pockets.
Oh man. Anybody got any more questions?
No, I know I had one last time and I forgot what it was and I still can't remember it.
That's a bummer.
I feel like it was going to be a good one too. I remember when last time we had Luke on and you were kind of going through your questions, and I think by your second question, I have one pop in my head. I'm like, oh my God, this would be such a good one to ask him. And then about 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, I kind of forgot it, and I haven't been able to grab it ever since.
You never know though. If this video doesn't
should have
work
written it
for some
down.
reason, maybe we'll be on again. You never know,
right?
I'd say with our luck, I'd say count on it. That we're gonna do it for a third time.
Same time next week.
Yeah, by the third time, it'll just be, we'll get on and be like, hey, here's Luke. We had a big conversation. Here's what we talked about. And have a good night.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe.
Exactly. So, I mean, again, there was a blessing in the first one being just gone, because we got to do it again. And, I can't thank you enough for coming on twice with.
Oh, anytime, boys.
Hang out. Well, I know people are busy and it's tough to get out of, to get away from your beautiful wife and everything to come hang out with three degenerates. But, I'm really glad you took the time to come hang out with the boys.
Dude, of course. Anytime I can be on the show, I would love to. I really appreciate you guys having me on and just like wanting to ask me questions and like actually care about what I have to say. And like the conversations I always have with you guys are incredible, whether we're on a podcast or just in person. So can't wait to see you guys in person soon and really hang out. So
yeah, we need to get a in-person podcast done and really just,
that would be sweet.
I mean, that's when we could do this box reveal if we can ever,
Check your mailboxes the next few days here. Something's coming.
I'm so excited and so nervous now. Honestly, terrified.
I'd be probably a little more nervous, but I'll make sure I have all you guys' mailing addresses and something will get sent out here pretty soon.
Oh man. Well, I anxiously await this doom box you will be sending us. And hopefully it's going to create a good show.
Yep. Everyone stay tuned. Yeah. And so that'll just be, this is a teaser for that episode. So everyone make sure you like and subscribe and tune in to see what happens.
What he said. And we'll, I'm sure we'll have you on again when this doesn't work. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Just let me know.
Thanks again, Luke, for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be talking more very soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you,
Have
Luke.
a good night.
Thanks.
See you guys.
See you, buddy.
We did it.